the spur of moment, didn't really think about it. So you just were looking for any kind of startup outlet to escape the uni life.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it was more of like a moment of realization of, what am I doing here? It's not I'm only really conforming to what society is telling me to do, and I'm in no way doing what I actually wanted to do.
Is that also something because you have a pretty heavy marketing background, right? Coming up, is that something that you were that you felt compelled to do because it was like the easiest way to get a good paying job, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you look at our entire system, if you look at anything really, to get a good job, to make a decent living, the standard way is you go to university, you get a bachelor degree. With that bachelor degree, you can get, some decent first entry level jobs. Then to get to the higher pay level, you have to do a master's, and then you'll be stamped off as, a qualified employee. But then you also still need 5 years of experience to, get to the next stage. And I think, like that system, it works for a lot of people, but there's also a lot of people that doesn't work for. So as an example, I was recently in contact with an entrepreneur, Mats Farholt. He's quite successful, and whenever he hires people for his company, he talks about these whispering talents. So you have, like the obvious talents, the people who graduated with a perfect GPA from Harvard, who then worked at KPMG for 2 to 3 years and, broke through all the record ceilings and everything. But then you also have the people who just simply, like, whose skill set just simply doesn't conform to the way we are being tested,
Right.
and the way society is dictating our progress, essentially. And I would kind of I would classify myself as one of those, because I don't I was never able to thrive on the university, simply also because I didn't care about getting good grades. I cared about learning. And for me, learning the 7 steps of a marketing strategy off by heart, for me, that's not learning. For me, that's simply, like I can look up the 7 steps within seconds on Google, but actually doing it, actually executing it, and, knowing what each of those 7 steps do, that's something completely different. And that is something which I find at university is lacking in most courses, or in most institutions, that they try to make it as real world as possible, but then it's still, you're still only working with theoretical data, even
Right.
when it's real life cases for companies. You have 1,000 different student groups submitting their ideas to Coca-Cola, of which 2 or 3 get selected, where one gets a presenter at the headquarters, and then most likely they will never even implement those decisions. So that for me is just simply, that's not real life experience. That's working in a theoretical world with theoretical numbers and theoretical outcomes.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point, because I think nowadays with the Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates of the world, people start to question the values that universities bring, right? In comparison to just going out there and doing it yourself. But as you said, there's a lot of different personalities on this planet, right? And so I want to talk to you about, what do you think, what kind of value university brought to you as a person, right? And also, if you would think that, if you would have the mindset of, okay, I want to start a business, which you had in the 3rd year already, which you then eventually had in the 3rd year, if you would have that, for example, in your 1st year already, do you think it would have been a smart plan for you to, drop out and pursue, your passion, the entrepreneurship?
It's a difficult question, to be honest, because like my mind is obviously telling me, like, yes, if I could have stopped this process anytime sooner, I would have. But at the same time, you have to look at the other implications. If I would have failed after 1 or 2 years, dropping out of university and just simply pursuing what I want to do, and then I fail after 2 years, then yes, I have 2 years of experience, which is great, which in my opinion is still more valuable than than just simply having a degree. But many employers don't share that opinion. Many employers, they look at what have you achieved in terms of, do you have a degree, do you have anything on paper that can prove to me that you can do that you can do stuff. And so for me, it was a bit of a risk mitigation strategy as well, to just simply complete the degree. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to do so. But if you look over here in Europe, in general, in the Netherlands, for example, we pay 2,000 euros for an entire year of tuition. In Germany, it's free even. So there, the kind of trade-off that you're making is in terms of time and in terms of 2,000 euros. So what like you're making the trade-off. Okay, in 3 years of studying, and if I was working in those 3 years, I could make this much money and get this much experience. Versus if I'm studying for 3 years, I'm paying 2,000 euros and I'm spending my time doing this and learning this. In the US, you pay 50 to 60K per year of university. Yep. There, the trade-off to me becomes unreasonable at some point, because of course you have the top graduates from Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, and the likes, who come from wealthy backgrounds or go on a Fulbright scholarship, and getting the stamp of approval from those universities is really it's a big game changer. But to someone who will then be indebted by 500K on average by the end of their studies, and them having to make the same trade-off that I have to make here in Europe, like time, getting getting your own experiences whilst trying to start something, and perhaps even learning more than you would learn at university, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting for people who come up and have the thoughts of doing something outside of university, right? To hear perspectives of people who dropped out, but also people who finished university, and see what their thoughts are, so they can make an educated decision. So, and that's what we're all about here at Kibo, right? So no, definitely, thank you for sharing. I want to talk about the actual milestone of starting your business, right? So you